Antlers, assumptions, and artillery. The employees of the store rush out to see what the hell the commotion is and immediately start demanding things. Mostly what the hell happened, why the protective fields weren't up, who disengaged the safety, and several other very interesting questions. The hurt Nagasha is placed into a healing coma, and the retention band is already around her head as she's teleported out to a nearby hospital to sleep off the crushing force slamming into her tail. Which is good, as there were several points on her tail where the ribs were clearly broken and nearly sticking out of the scales. What even happened? The platforms these things are on are in the middle of anti-gravity beams with solid chunks of ultraviolet light wrapped around it like a coffin. This shouldn't have been possible in the least, the Darrin employee with the manager shirt states as she rushes around while trying to figure out just what in the hell has happened. This one's active, Salas says as she pokes at the next tower. She then pulls out a large box labeled dried Valerie, and the box on top doesn't move at all. I don't get it. I even got a message that product was taken out of that stack, the manager says, looking at their communicator and hitting it a few times. This stupid thing should have told me the second there was so much as fluctuation in the gravy field. So I take it this is fairly uncommon. Bjorn remarks even as the manager rushes to the base of the mostly toppled tower of dishwashers. Almost unheard of. Wait a minute. What the heck? The manager states as she freezes. She grabs a washer and slowly pulls it out of the way and sticks her head into the gap. Why isn't that part active? Here, let me help, Holly says after handing her portrait off to Irma for safekeeping. She hauls a trinity of dishwashers away as Bjorn keeps the other half of the pile balanced and shoves it to the side with a grating, screeching sound. What have you spotted? Bjorn asks, and the Drin rises up. She flicks her antenna in response. I sense the electromagnetic spectrum through these. Makes me real good for fixing things. Or it should. I'm garbage with tech, but I can still tell when a piece of a machine isn't getting power for some reason, she says as one of her lower arms points down. Now, I'm not sure what part of the anti-gravity and protections that part of the pallet is, but it's not working right. The other ones have this part working, but I don't know what it does. Right? Well, first step is to get a technician or electrician or whatever in here to fix this mess. This whole area is unsafe so long as this pallet is on the fritz and has this much heavy product on it, Bjorn says as he looks up. A lot of it has fallen, but there's still enough up there that if we shift the piles too much, there's no telling if more will come down. Right, I need to... Emma, get some signs to ward people out of this area. We're damn lucky no one's been killed by this. The manager shouts out and the other employee goes running. Just two of you? Holly asks. Normally that's overkill. We got so many drones automating the store that we just need someone as a face for the customers and someone to double check that something's not gone strange on us. But I checked this pallet earlier. It was fine then. Why's it all busted now? The manager asked, running her hands over her head. This don't make no sense. Right. Well, it doesn't matter if it makes sense or not. We need to get everyone some decent distance from that thing before something weird happens. The undaunted man on the opposite side calls out, and there's a very quick agreement as everyone backs away from the unstable tower of dishwashers. There's going to be a lot of scrapping from that pile. Whole thing, I think, the manager notes to herself. Scrapping? Vera asks, even as Irma hands the art back to Holly. Oh, this store is kind of a last stop until everything's sent to recycling or scrapping. We got to deal with the local recycling plant and they'll take everything we can't move. Or things we need to move. They pay us tridite on the tons, but it's almost enough to make the money back for the overstock we buy. All told, it evens out to only a 13.25% capital loss if something is sent to the recycle. However, comparing that to the prices for shifting product and the price we pay for them, we only need to sell roughly 5% of our average product to make our money completely back, even if the rest just goes to the scraps. After that, it's all profit. The manager says, and Bjorn slowly turns to give her an odd look. I'm garbage with machines, not numbers. Goddess damn human. I ain't no little larva fresh from her mama's hill. Sorry, he says with his hands up. So how much of this stack did you sell? He's just trying to make some conversation after the accidental insult. Enough that it's still a profit, provided we don't get sued for a customer getting hurt, And the repairs of whatever whatchamacallit that's gone done, get itself broke, is done, the manager says before huffing. Damn. So do these things often break? Almost never, she says, and Bjorn frowns. Did an animus come by recently? Holly asks, and the manager turns to her. Yeah, they did, big girl. Why? You don't think the stung, do you? It would be stupid and insane to try anything in a military arcology. I mean, Miss Manager, I'm willing to bet you've been encouraged to carry a weapon while on the premises, haven't you? Bjorn asks, and the manager nods before pulling out a Diject Tech plasma pistol. She sheathes it again. Never used one in my life, but you're actually required, not encouraged, required to have some kind of weapon if you work here, she says, and Bjorn gestures to her. There are so many easier places to hit or carve out territory than a place where literally every shop owner, stand runner, and Joan Random in the street can and will pull out a weapon and blow you away if you start something, Bjorn says. Well, it's not like even the smartest criminals don't do stupid things. I mean, Holly gestures upwards and shrinks in on herself. Was a pretty stupid thing to do, if you think about it. Bjorn nods. That's a good point. Smart in one area doesn't mean smart in another. In fact, it often means far less smart in another. Right, so this Andiness, did she have anything kind of distinctive or stand outish of her? Holly asks, and the manager crosses all of her arms. Look, I appreciate that you're all so eager to help out, but there are things I'm not allowed to share unless someone pulls a legal officer badge. And soldier is a hat worn so often around here, I expect it more than anything. But no, thank you for your help. But that's far enough. Yes, I've had Andinus customers. Yes, there has been an incident, and it's an odd thing to happen. That's as far as I'm going with you, the manager says, and Bjorn shrugs. Fine, he says. Fine, she answers. I'll just send in a request for information. If it's something normal, I'll get a flat and boring summary, and my curiosity will be sated. If it's something weird, I'll get a warning to stay away from it and some redacted information. And if it's a real problem, I'm going to get all the information I need in orders, Bjorn says. What's your position? The manager asks. Sergeant Veers, he answers. And what does a Sergeant Veers do? I'm sorry, ma'am, that's classified, he replies with a grin, and she huffs. I think I had that one coming, she admits. Right, so I suppose we all just get back to shopping then, Vera says as the second employee rushes up and starts putting up little hollow signs that declare an area off limits and to speak with an employee if you need something inside it. Right, no one else seems to be hurt, and there's nothing we can legally do here. Bjorn agrees. Legally? Solace asks in an amused tone. We're still following the law, girls. It was more a question of what illegal things you might be thinking about, Solace says. If you don't care about the law, you can do just about anything, Bjorn says with a shrug. And then police show up, and if you get past them for too long, people like me do. I don't really know where this conversation is going now, Solace admits. Neither do I. Bjorn concedes. So how about we put the brakes on this awkward party and go back to browsing? See if there's anything we're missing, or something that one of us wanted but never had a chance to get before. After all, with how fast the markets move, by the time you hear about something, it's usually yesterday's thing out here, so who knows? There may be... Oh, Lils explains before her eyes light up. This way? Then she goes bouncing off. What's she? Oh, if those are on sale, this would be perfect, Solace says before following Lils and Vera's close behind. So is this a Lirac thing? Bjorn asks. Well, if it is, then it's... Oh, that would be very nice, Irma says before following the others with an eager bounce in her step. All right, so that leaves you and me for figuring out what's going on, and... Bjorn begins before Holly pats him on the head and clops off after the others. What has everyone so excited? Candied nuts, apparently. Bulk quantities of candied nuts of all kinds. Bjorn very carefully does not make the obvious joke, mostly because they'd volley it back faster than he could blink if he does. So there's going to be a lot of crunch in our meals going forward, it seems, Bjorn says as he sees Lils eagerly pull out a large box of candied nuts from its stack and nothing falls. Everyone backs up just in case, and then after about a minute, the boxes slowly fall to fill in the gap. There isn't even a thump. If that's how this normally works, then the giant towers of product actually make sense. Although some backups in case things get messed up on the electronic front would be wise. A series of chains locking it down or something. Chains and barriers tend to make customers feel unwelcome, Irma says cheerfully as she shows up with her own box advertising that it was made with Charbas honey. How the hell does this even happen? A voice calls out, and everyone turns back to where the fallen tower was. Oh, more drama. Come on, girls. The entertainment continues. Solace says, grabbing her own box, and out of nowhere, Bjorn's neck hairs suddenly stand and he moves. He grabs her by the tail and pulls back hard, even as something in the tower fails, and the boxes suddenly start falling, but only in a single column out of 5. Everyone starts moving away from the tower of product, even as things start falling, and Bjorn makes sure everything is far back from the collapsing product. Everyone gets some distance. We have another tower collapsing. Bjorn bellows out at the top of his lungs. The boxes shatter against the ground and spray candied nuts everywhere like candied bombs going off. Everyone turns away but Bjorn, who raises his arm to block things and gets a few pinging off his face. One ends up in his mouth and he crunches down on it. Very sweet and alien almond. Honey-coated almond? He likes that. There's a bit of a wait for the very frazzled and honestly pissed off manager to rush up and scream in frustration. Swear to God, we didn't do this. Thank you, Miss Antlers. I never would have guessed that you didn't want to drop an entire tower of nuts on your head. The manager belts out in a tone that says that she's already done with the day. Are you kidding me? The mechanic in the distance shouts out. Nope, another collapse. This time no one was under it, but it's still another mess. Bjorn bellows back. Hey, this is my store. I call it out. The manager snaps. Another collapse. No one hurt. Bjorn rolls his eyes at that.